The day my children sat me down and said, "Mom, you're too old to live alone, it's time for a nursing home," I felt my heart splinter like dry wood. I was 68, sitting in the dining room I'd built with Harold, holding a cup of tea that had gone cold, while Michael, Hannah, and Thomas stared at me like I was a problem to be solved. Their words echoed, "You're a burden now." I looked at Michael's impatient frown, Hannah's smug nod, and Thomas' guilty glance away. That night, I called Mr. Whitaker, our family lawyer, and said, "Freeze everything." I could almost hear his smile through the phone as he replied, "Emily, Harold would be proud. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. My name is Emily, and this is the story of how I took back my life from the children I'd given everything to." Harold and I started with nothing. Small bakery in a crumbling strip mall, kneading dough at 4 a.m., while dreaming of a better life. He was the dreamer, I was the doer. Together, we turned that bakery into a chain, then a national brand, sold for $15 million a decade ago, after Harold's sudden stroke took him from me. I was 58 then, a widow with 3 kids to raise alone. Michael, my eldest, was ambitious, always chasing the next big deal. Hannah, my daughter, was sharp but entitled, expecting the world to bend to her. Thomas, the youngest, was softer, torn between his siblings' greed and his own heart. I poured my fortune into their futures, Michael's business ventures, Hannah's lavish lifestyle, Thomas' education, thinking it was what Harold would have wanted. The betrayal started small. Michael and his wife, Laura, began hinting I was too frail to manage my big house, a 5-bedroom colonial Harold and I had designed. Hannah would visit, rolling her eyes at my old-fashioned ways, suggesting I downsize. Thomas, though quieter, didn't disagree. I ignored the signs, chalking it up to their busy lives. My best friend, Vivian, saw it clearer. Over tea at her place, she'd say, "Emily, they're circling like vultures. You're not frail, you're sharper than all of them." Mrs. Patel, my kind neighbor, agreed, noticing how rarely my kids visited unless they needed money. The nursing home talk came after my 68th birthday. I'd planned a small dinner, hoping to see my kids together for once. Only Thomas showed up, and even he left early, mumbling about work. A week later, they ambushed me. Michael led the charge. "Mom, this house is too much for you. We found a great facility, Ems Hargrove runs it, very upscale." Hannah chimed in, "You'll be safer there. We can't keep worrying." Thomas fidgeted, saying little but not defending me. Laura nodded along, her smile cold. I looked around the dining room, Harold's favorite oak table, the chandelier wed picked out together, and felt like they were erasing me. I played along, nodding quietly, but inside, I was breaking. That night, alone, I found Harold's old journal in a drawer. His handwriting steadied me. "Emily, you're the backbone. Never let them dim your fire." I called Mr. Whitaker. Wa'd been Harold's lawyer for decades. "Emily," he said, "the estate's in your control. Harold set it up so you decide who gets what and when. If they're pushing you out, you can freeze their access." My heart raced. Freeze it? The idea felt like a betrayal of my kids, but their words, "You're a burden," felt like a deeper betrayal of me. The next day, I visited the nursing home with Hannah. Wad insisted on touring it. Miss Hargrove, the director, was kind, showing me a cheerful room with a view. But as Hannah gushed about how perfect it was, I saw the truth. They wanted me out of the house, out of their lives, so they could claim it. I smiled at Miss Hargrove and said, "I'll think about it." Hannah smirked, thinking she'd won. But as I walked out, I texted Vivian. "They're done underestimating me." She replied, "Atta girl. Time to show them who Emily is." Back home, I stared at photos of my kids as children. Their smiles so innocent then. How had it come to this? I thought of Derek, Hannah's ex-husband. Wad once warned me she was obsessed with money. I hadn't listened. Now, I needed answers. What were they planning? And what had Harold hidden in the estate that Mr. Whitaker hinted could change everything? I sat in my kitchen, the same one where I'd baked birthday cakes for Michael, Hannah, and Thomas, now staring at the phone number for Mr. Whitaker scrawled on a napkin. My hands trembled as I dialed him again, the weight of my kids' betrayal settling like a stone in my chest. "Emily," he answered, his voice steady as always. I've started the paperwork to freeze the estate. But there's more in Harold's will you need to see. Can you come to my office tomorrow? His tone held a hint of something excitement, maybe, that made my pulse quicken. What kind of more? I asked. He chuckled softly. Let's just say Harold knew his kids better than they thought. I hung up, my mind spinning. Harold's will. I'd always known it left the bulk to me, with portions for the kids, but I'd trusted them to honor our family. Now, their words "you're a burden" played on a loop. I wandered to the living room, where a photo of Harold and me hung above the fireplace. We were young, laughing outside our first bakery, flour dusting our aprons. What did you know, Harold? I whispered, touching his face in the frame. The house felt too quiet, like it was holding its breath, waiting for me to decide. The next morning, I drove to Mr. Whitaker's office, the city's bustle a blur through my tears. Michael had texted, Mom, we're serious about the nursing home. It's for your own good. Henna sent a link to the facilities brochure, as if I'd already agreed. Thomas, predictably, stayed silent. Their united front stung, but it also fueled me. I wasn't the frail widow they imagined. At Mr. Whitaker's office, he greeted me with a warm handshake, his gray hair catching the light as he pulled out a thick folder. Emily, Harold added a contingency clause years ago, after Michael's first failed business venture. It's a safeguard. I leaned forward, my heart pounding. Safeguard for what? He slid the will across the desk, pointing to a paragraph. If any beneficiary attempts to coerce or alienate you from your home or rights, you can suspend their inheritance indefinitely, Harold wrote. Emily's judgment is final. You can freeze their access to the $15 million estate cash. Properties, stocks, everything. I blinked, stunned. Harold had foreseen this? There's more, Mr. Whitaker said, his eyes gleaming. The house is solely in your name, not the estate's. They can't force a sale. And there's a private trust Harold set up, accessible only to you, worth $5 million. They don't know it exists. I gripped the chair, dizzy. Harold had built a fortress around me, knowing our kids might stray. Why didn't I know? I asked. Mr. Whitaker sighed. You were grieving, focused on them. Harold wanted you protected, not burdened. We spent an hour mapping out steps. Freeze the main estate, secure the private trust, and demand repayment for recent loans. I'd given Michael and Henna $200,000 for his business and her divorce settlement. They'll fight this, I said. He nodded. Let them. You hold the cards. Driving home, I felt a mix of power and sorrow. Vivian called, her voice crackling with indignation. Those kids need a wake-up call, Emily. You gave them everything and they spit in your face. I told her about the will, the trust, she whooped. Harold was a genius. Now what? I wasn't sure yet. Confronting them felt inevitable, but how? Mrs. Patel stopped by later, bringing homemade samosas. I saw Michael's car speeding off yesterday, she said gently. Are you okay? Her kindness broke me. I told her everything, tears falling as I spoke. You're stronger than they know, she said, patting my hand. Show them. That evening, Henna called, her tone syrupy. Mom, let's talk about the nursing home. We've booked a spot with Miss Hargrove. No apology, just pressure. Henna, I said, my voice calm but firm. I'm not going anywhere. And you might want to check with your bank. I hung up, my heart racing. I'd told Mr. Whitaker to notify their financial advisors of the freeze. I imagined their faces when they got the news, Michael's anger, Henna's panic, Thomas' guilt. But I wasn't done digging. Derek, Henna's ex, had hinted at her financial secrets. Maybe he knew more. I texted Derek. Need to talk about Henna. Can we meet? He replied instantly. I've been waiting for this. Tomorrow? My stomach churned. What else had my kids hidden? As I sat in Harold's old armchair, I felt his presence, urging me to fight. The betrayal cut deep, but the private trust, the house, the claws, they were my armor, and I was just beginning to wield it. The meeting with Derek felt like stepping into a shadow from Henna's past. We met at a quiet cafe downtown, the kind with worn booths and the scent of fresh coffee masking old regrets. Derek looked older than his 39 years, his eyes weary as he slid into the seat across from me. Emily, he said, his voice low. I always respected you and Harold. Henna, she's changed. I nodded, stirring my tea, my heart heavy with anticipation. What do you know about her plans? About me? He sighed, glancing around as if she might appear. She's been talking to Michael about selling the house once you're in the nursing home. They think the estate's easy pickings. And Thomas? He's in on it, but guilty. Laura's pushing Michael hard, says the money's for their kid's future. His words hit like punches. My own children, plotting behind my back. Proof? I asked, my voice steady despite the tremor inside. Derek pulled out his phone, showing emails from Henna post-divorce. Mom's loaded, but she's clinging to that house like it's gold. Once she's out, we split it 3 ways. I felt sick, the betrayal twisting deeper. Derek leaned in. I left her because of this greed. She hid debts from me, credit cards, loans. If the estate freezes, she'll crumble. I thanked him, my mind racing. As I left, rain started falling, mirroring the storm in my chest. Harold's clause wasn't just protection, it was prophecy. Back home, the calls came like clockwork. Michael first, his voice booming through the phone. Mom, what's this about frozen accounts? My business loan bounced. I could hear Laura in the background, whispering furiously. Michael, I said calmly, you wanted me in a nursing home. Consider this my response. He sputtered. This is crazy. We're family. Family? The word tasted bitter. Henna called next, hysterical. Mom, fix this. I can't access my trust fund. What did you do? Her entitlement fueled my resolve. Henna, you called me a burden. Now feel what that's like. Thomas was last, his voice soft, pleading. Mom, please, I didn't want this. Michael and Henna pressured me. His confession cracked my heart, but I held firm. Thomas, you chose sides, now live with it. Vivian came over that night, her witty energy a balm. Emily, you're a force, she said, pouring wine. Harold smiling down, I bet. We sat in the garden, Mrs. Patel joining us with tea. Those kids need to learn, Mrs. Patel said gently. You've been too kind. Their support anchored me as doubt crept in. Was I too harsh? But remembering Derek's emails, the nursing home brochure Henna shoved at me, I knew no. This was the breaking point. I'd given them everything, education, homes, second chances, and they'd repaid with exile. I called Mr. Whitaker the next morning. Send the letters, I said. Notify them of the clause invocation. He drafted formal notices. Estate frozen, repayments due, house untouchable. And the private trust? He asked. Use it wisely, Emily. I nodded to myself. That $5 million was my secret weapon perhaps for a new life, or to help Thomas if he proved worthy. Miss Hargrove from the nursing home called, concerned. Mrs. Emily, Henna canceled your reservation. Everything okay? I laughed bitterly. Better than okay. I won't be needing it. The fallout intensified. Michael showed up unannounced, pounding on the door. Mom, open up. This isn't funny. I let him in. Laura trailing behind, her face pinched. You can't do this, Michael barked. Dad's money is ours too. I stood tall, channeling Harold's strength. Your father protected me from this exact greed. Prove you're worthy, or get nothing, Laura sneered. You're just a bitter old woman. Her words stung, but I smiled. And you're complicit in betraying family. They left in a rage, threatening lawyers. But Mr. Whitaker had assured Meathwill was ironclad. That night, alone, the pain hit hardest. I cried for the kids I'd lost, for Harold's absence. But resilience stirred. I wasn't done. I was deciding enough was enough. What they didn't know was the full extent of Harold's secretza hidden asset in the estate that could ruin them if pushed. As I drifted to sleep, my phone buzzed. A group text from the kids, demanding a meeting. The confrontation was coming, and I was ready to unleash the truth. The family meeting was set in my dining room, the same table where I'd once celebrated their birthdays, now a battlefield. Michael arrived first, storming in with Laura, his face red with fury. Mom, this freeze is killing my business. Fix it now. Henna followed, her eyes puffy from what I guessed were angry tears, not remorse. Thomas slunk in last, avoiding my gaze. Vivian had insisted on being there for support, sitting beside me like a sentinel. Mr. Whitaker joined via video call, his face stern on my laptop screen. Mrs. Patel had offered to come, but I wanted this intimate family only, if they still deserved the word. I poured coffee, my hands steady despite the knot in my stomach. Sit, I said, my voice firm. They did, grumbling. Michael slammed a folder down printouts of bank statements, red marks everywhere. You've ruined us, he accused. Laura nodded, her arms crossed. We were counting on that money. Henna leaned forward, manipulative as ever. Mom, think of your grandchildren. This hurts them too. Grandchildren? She had none, but the ploy twisted my heart. Thomas muttered, Guys, let's hear her out. His small defense warmed me slightly. I took a breath, channeling Harold's calm and tough negotiations. You three decided I was a burden, too old for my own home. You booked a nursing home without asking, plotted to sell this house. Their faces paled. How did I know? I slid Derek's printed emails across the table. Henna gasped. You talked to Derek? That liar! But Michael skimmed them, his anger shifting to her. You said this was just talk, Henna. The cracks showed, their unity fracturing. Mr. Whitaker spoke up. Emily invoked Harold's clause. The estate's frozen due to coercion. Repay the loans $200,000 from Michael, $150,000 from Henauer, face legal action. Laura's mouth dropped. Loans? Those were gifts. I shook my head. Gifts come with love, not betrayal. Vivian smirked. Harold saw this coming. Smart man. Thomas looked at me, eyes pleading. Mom, I didn't plot the sale. I just went along. His honesty hurt, but it was a start. The argument exploded. Michael yelled about fairness. Henna cried manipulation. Laura threatened lawsuits. I sat quiet, letting them vent. My pain raw, but my resolve iron. Enough, I finally said. This house is mine, untouchable. The private trust Harold left $5 million, just for means I don't need you. But you need me. Their eyes widened at the mention of the trust. Private trust? Henna whispered. Mr. Whitaker confirmed it. Unknown to you, yes. They left defeated, Michael muttering about contesting the will, Henna in tears, Thomas lingering to hug me awkwardly. I'm sorry, Mom. Alone with Vivian, I broke down. Did I lose them forever? She hugged me. No, you saved yourself. They'll come around or not, but you're free. Miss Hargrove called later, refunding the deposit Henna had paid. I sensed something off, she said. Take care. Her empathy touched me. Days blurred into emotional turmoil. I walked the garden, talking to Harold's memory. Was this right? Doubt gnawed, but strength grew. I used the private trust to travel with Viviana Cruz, something I'd denied myself for years. Mrs. Patel watched the house, her kindness a reminder of true friends. Derek texted thanks for listening, offering more dirt if needed. But I focused on healing, journaling my pain, finding resilience in solitude. Then the twist deepened. Mr. Whitaker uncovered Harold's hidden Aseta vacation property in the mountains, deeded solely to me, worth millions. The kids had no claim. As I pondered revealing it, a desperate call from Michael hinted at Karma's approach. Their worlds were crumbling, and mine was rising. But the real climax loomed, a final confrontation where secrets would shatter them. Weeks after the explosive family meeting, my house felt like a sanctuary again. The silence, a welcome contrast to the chaos my kids had unleashed. I'd used Harold's private trust to make small changes, a fresh coat of paint in the living room, new flowers in the garden symbols of renewal. But the emotional scars lingered. Nights spent replaying their accusations, wondering if love could survive such betrayal. Vivian visited often, her witty stories pulling me from the darkness. Emily, you're not just surviving, you're thriving, she'd say, clinking her glass against mine. Mrs. Patel brought meals, her quiet wisdom grounding me. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the ones who stay. The karma began unfolding subtly at first. Michael's business, propped up by my loans, hit a wall when investors pulled out after hearing of the family rift rumors spread fast in our small circle. Laura called me one evening, her voice uncharacteristically shaky. Emily, please. Michael's stressed. The house payment's late. Just unfreeze a bit? I paused, remembering her sneer at the meeting. Laura, you helped push me toward a nursing home. Why should I help now? She hung up, defeated. Hannah's world crumbled next Derek had shared more. Her hidden debts surfaced when creditors called, her lavish lifestyle exposed as a facade. She texted desperately, Mom, I need help. Can't pay rent. My reply was simple. Repay what you owe first. Thomas was different. He showed up alone one rainy afternoon, soaked and remorseful. Mom, I can't do this anymore, he said, standing in the doorway. We sat in the kitchen, where I'd once bandaged his scraped knees. Michael and Hannah dragged me in, but I knew it was wrong. I miss you. His tears mirrored mine. I hugged him, the first crack in my armor. Thomas, prove it. Distance yourself from their greed. He nodded, promising to try. Later, he confided they'd been meeting secretly, plotting to contest the will. They're hiring a lawyer, he warned. Mr. Whitaker laughed when I told him. Let them. Harold's documents are bulletproof. The twist came from Harold's hidden Asset the Mountain property. Mr. Whitaker revealed it fully. A luxurious cabin, rented out for years, generating income I'd never touched, worth $3 million. It was mine alone. I decided to visit, driving up winding roads with Vivian. The air was crisp, the views breathtaking, a lake shimmering under the sun, woods whispering peace. This is your escape, Vivian said, as we toured the cozy rooms filled with Harold's touches. His favorite books, a photo of us on the mantel. Standing there, I felt his presence stronger than ever. He left this for me, I whispered, tears falling. It was more than property. It was freedom. Back home, the calls intensified. Michael begged for a meeting. Hannah sent manipulative voicemails about family forgiveness. Even Miss Hargrove reached out, saying Hannah had inquired about cheap facilities for herself, ironically, as her finances tanked. Derek offered support, revealing Hannah's attempts to drag him into the fray. But I focused on resilience, joining a book club with Mrs. Patel, volunteering at a local shelter, building a life beyond my kids' shadows. Then Michael cracked. He arrived unannounced, looking haggard, Laura absent. Mom, we're losing everything. The business folded. We're selling the house. His voice broke. I was wrong. So wrong. I let him in, but held back. Actions, Michael, not words. He nodded, admitting Laura's influence, his own impatience. Dad would be ashamed. Hearing that, my heart softened slightly. Hannah followed suit days later, alone and broken. I thought money would fix everything, she confessed. But I lost you. Her apology felt genuine, born of loss. As they humbled, I prepared the climax, a gathering at the mountain cabin. I'd invite them, reveal the property, and lay down terms. The reversal was sweet. They'd come begging, and I'd decide their fate. But first, the emotional journey peaked in solitude, where I confronted my pain, found strength in Harold's legacy. The end was near, and justice would be mine. The drive to the mountain cabin was tense, the winding roads mirroring the twists in my heart. I'd invited Michael, Hannah, and Thomas for what I called a family reset. But it was my stage for the final reveal. Vivian rode with me, her support unwavering. Emily, this is your moment, she said, squeezing my hand. The cabin loomed ahead, nestled by the lake, its wooden facade glowing in the autumn Sunday mist. Whitaker had emailed the deeds and final papers, everything ready. As my kids arrived, their cars pulling up one by one, I stood on the porch, feeling Harold's spirit beside me. Michael and Laura stepped out first, looking worn, their usual confidence shattered. Hannah followed, alone, her designer clothes rumpled. Thomas was last, offering a tentative smile. We gathered in the living room, the fireplace crackling, photos of Harold and our happier times staring down. Welcome, I said, my voice steady. This is Harold's hidden gift, the mountain property. Mine alone, worth $3 million. Gasps filled the room. Michael's eyes widened in shock. Dad had this? And you never told us? Hannah's face twisted in envy. That's not fair. Thomas just stared, humbled. I laid it out raw. You pushed me toward a nursing home, called me a burden, plotted to steal my home. This cabin? It's what Harold left to protect me from you. Mr. Whitaker joined via call, confirming. The estate remains frozen. Repayments due now, or lose it all. Laura's composure broke. She sobbed. We can't. We're bankrupt. Michael's shoulders slumped, his greed exposed in humiliating defeat. Mom, we were desperate, he admitted, voice cracking. Hannah fell to her knees, begging. Please, Mom. I was wrong. So wrong. Her tears were real now. Her entitlement stripped away as creditors hounded her. Her life in ruins. Thomas spoke up. I told them to stop, but I didn't fight hard enough. His honesty earned a nod from me. The room filled with their pleas. Their worlds crumbling, Michael's business gone. Hannah's debts mounting. Laura's dreams dashed. I felt a surge of release, tears streaming down my face. I loved you enough to give everything, I said, voice breaking. But you taught me to love myself more. In that moment, triumph washed over my closure for Harold's loss, empowerment from the pain. I wasn't the victim. I was the survivor. Yet, hope flickered. I offered terms. Therapy, genuine apologies, no more greed. Thomas agreed first, hugging me tightly. Michael and Hannah, broken but nodding, promised change. Laura whispered thanks. Her humility knew. As they left, the sun set over the lake, painting the sky in goldsa reflective end. I stayed with Vivian, toasting Harold. We did it, I whispered. Back home, with Mrs. Patel's warm welcome and Derek's supportive message, I felt whole. The betrayal scarred me, but resilience healed. I'd lost illusions, gained strength. Family might mend, but I was free. Thanks for listening. If this story hit you in the heart, don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.